Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what is called the PDCA cycle or the Sure cycle. This is used frequently in process development spheres, mostly because it is probably one of the more simple process improvement frameworks that you can use because you just plan, you do, you check, and then you act. When I first learned about the PDCA cycle, I didn't really know what each section meant. I knew that you basically had a process and you iteratively improved upon it. But today I'm going to go a little bit more into detail on what each step of the cycle is, and then my next video I'm going to do an example showing how to use the PDCA cycle in product development. So for the plan, this is easy. So this is where you would make an HOQ, which I've covered in a previous video, or a house of quality. Which, just as a quick refresher, a house of quality is a graphical representation that helps you take customer requirements and translate them to technical requirements. It makes it so that you don't miss anything, and it also makes it so that you are competitive and you have specific goals for your product or process. Another thing that you would need to do in the plan phase is a risk analysis. Let me reverse this. You would need an action plan and a risk analysis of that action plan. Basically, this is just to make sure that you're doing everything safely as far as health-wise, and then safely financially as well. You don't want to spend all of your money on a product that isn't ever going to go anywhere. So that part of the plan phase helps with that. Also in this phase is when you would probably want to go over budget and any monetary restrictions. And that's pretty much all that you would need. You can make this as simple or as complicated as you want it to be, and it also kind of depends on the project as well. If it's a multi-organizational project, the PDCA cycle will need to be a lot more intense than if I was just iteratively making, say, a 3D printed jewelry box. With increased risk, you probably would need a lot more planning. As far as the do cycle, or the do part of the cycle, that's just where you carry out action plan. You don't really want to change any part of your plan in this step. The reason for that is something called scope creep, which basically means if you always are changing your plan gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's completely out of control. And most likely the project will be over budget and over time, and it will take a lot longer than you want it to. For the check phase, this is where you analyze data. That is pretty much all that you do in this phase, is you analyze data and then maybe make a decision. If this is a continuous process, then the act part would be whether you implement into the process or not. But that is for a process that is already kind of implemented and functioning. The way that I like to see it is I like to add another arrow right here that goes from plan to check, and I iterate between plan, do, and check until I have something that I can act upon. Going back to the jewelry box example, I would do my best to plan the box, how I would make it, how I would manufacture it. I would carry out that plan, and I would check, analyze the data, and then make a decision. In the make a decision step, that is where I would determine what my next cycle needed to do. And then I'd repeat the plan, do, check, and plan, do, check until I have a complete product. And then the act phase would be where I would implement the product into either trying to sell it or just making it for gifts for people. It depends on the process. So this is a really quick and simple way of how to implement the plan, do, check, act cycle. I really do enjoy applying this to pretty much everything. The next video I make again is just going to be an example project of doing that, where I walk you through all the steps and everything that I am doing. And at some point, I do plan on doing a video about how to make a correct action plan and risk analysis, and then how to analyze those decisions. But thanks for sticking around, and I will see you later. Bye.